Hey y'all, Zach McDonald, your real estate agent with Real Property Associates, and today we are going to do a Seattle real estate news breakdown. In this video, we're going to take an article that was recently published in the Seattle Times, and we are going to go through the article together. I'll add a little bit of commentary as we go through it, and then I will add some more context and my thoughts here at the end. Today's article is titled, "Downtown's Coming Back, Maybe. Pick your scenario." And this article was written by John Talton. He's a columnist for the Seattle Times. So we're going to take a peek at this article. And this article starts off saying that anyone who tells you with certainty what's going to happen to downtown Seattle as America gradually reopens from the pandemic is a liar. And I'd agree. How do we know? We don't. But here are some ideas, and this article gives us a few suggestions. Downtown was especially important pre-pandemic because it generated more than half of Seattle's business taxes. It was the regional employment hub with 81% of the city's office space, makes sense, and 55% of its jobs, and held important tourism, convention, and arts assets. Some national commentators are expecting major changes to downtowns everywhere. This is where it's going to get interesting. The article is going to talk to a few different people who are supposedly experts on downtown areas around the US, and they're going to give some information and weigh in on what they think might happen. So there's a few different scenarios that are painted, and I'm going to share what I think is the most likely scenario here in Seattle. Here are a few quotes from Scott in this article. "If you look at a 20 to 30% destruction in gross demand for office space, you're talking about the GDP of Japan flowing out of the office industrial complex into residential. The transition of time and capital from offices to residential is a tsunami." Another quote here from Galloway, "Office buildings are the new malls," he said. "The really nice ones are going to be fine, not so for the others. It's going to be a difficult time to be in commercial real estate." Now, honestly, I think this example is a little bit extreme. I do like his thoughts about people working from home more often than not, and it does make sense that there's going to be an impact on downtown's revenues as a result because people aren't in the office as much, they're not spending money as much, they're not spending as much time downtown, and they might be less incentivized to live downtown, which we'll talk about in a little bit. I think people definitely are betting that they're not going to have to be downtown as much. So I think he's onto something. Maybe it's a little bit extreme, but honestly, we're not going to know here for a few years or even many years down the road what the impacts are really going to be. Another perspective found in this article is actually from a different article in City Journal. It's published by the Manhattan Institute for Policy Research. A few quotes of theirs are as follows. "While superstar cities such as Seattle are not about to disintegrate, remote work will be the biggest challenge they face," the pair write. "Moreover, the pandemic has worsened the new urban crisis of rampant gentrification, high living costs, and class and racial division, all sharply dramatized amid the wave of protests and riots in the summer of 2020. A more provocative quote of theirs is that they see these shifts as likely to disrupt the central business districts of superstar cities. With their massive skyscraper blocks, these office districts may become the last remaining urban holdover from the Industrial Revolution," they think. Another even more radical thought of theirs here is that they think that there's a potential for these skyscrapers to turn into housing, flexible workspaces, and artisanal businesses, transforming the once dead-end districts into much livelier 24-hour communities, which that's kind of crazy, honestly. But I think they have some good thoughts specifically about the fact that people are definitely sprawling out of the city. The article finishes up here quoting Florida, who is one of the authors of this article we were just talking about from City Journal. And he essentially doubles down the article's saying here on the idea that we're going to see the death of the central business districts. And again, I think it's a little extreme, but he's thinking here that other cities might get into the game, taking some of the pressure off of the housing and real estate markets of these superstar cities, which Seattle is considered one of them, and tech hubs, making them more affordable. I find it hard to believe that this scenario here is going to come to fruition where you see like the death of downtown, but I can definitely see some impacts in the long run where we're going to see more people working from home. I think that's a real thing. People are wanting to work remotely. And I think if we look at the first scenario, we're seeing employers are more okay with employees working from home as well. So as far as the actual ramifications for downtown, it's kind of tough to say, but working remotely changes where people want to live. Places like Eastern Washington are having more and more people moving over there because the weather's nicer, it's sunnier. You've got people that are moving to other destinations because they can keep their jobs here. I know people that have moved to Arizona that are still working for companies in Seattle. So if you can work remotely and you don't have to be in the office, you might not choose to live in certain cities. Now, I personally think Seattle has a lot of beauty, but it's not the same kind of beauty or the type of weather that everybody really wants to have. It's beautiful in the spring and the summer, but it's raining outside and I'm wearing a sweater and it's almost June. So not everybody's looking to have this type of a climate. And so if they can choose somewhere else to live, why wouldn't they? A few things as we wrap up this article that I'm thinking about. Number one, I think employers are definitely more comfortable with employees working from home. I know for me, I have a team as well, and I am completely comfortable with them working from home. It's definitely not the same experience as when we're in the office together, but there are great tools like Zoom and Teams and Slack and all sorts of other tools that you can use to still be in person, be face-to-face, collaborate together, and heck, we use those tools while we're in the office too. So sometimes being at home, being at the office, it's not as important. And I didn't really see much of a difference in people working from home or people working in the office as an employer myself. Now, it is nice to be in the office to collaborate. So I think that's the thing that businesses want to see. So I wrote down here that employers are seeing that employees can be productive. I also wrote down that employees want to work from home. So employers are seeing it's okay and good, and employees are expressing that they like working from home. I think there's more balance in life when you can work from home. You have the opportunity and flexibility to flex time maybe if you need to and still get your job done. I think you also save a lot of time in commuting. If you're somebody who lives out in the suburbs, which most people live out in the suburbs, and you're driving into the city, it takes a lot of time, which is why people were wanting to live in the city in the first place, because they're closer to work, they're closer to the parks, they're closer to things they like to do in the nightlife. But if that's not as important to them anymore, then what's the point of living as close to the city? So we're seeing people are wanting to work from home. Employers are more okay with it. But at the same time, employers have these office spaces. Some of them are still paying a lot of money to keep their office spaces. Maybe it's just for the address, but they're also wanting to have collaboration. They're wanting to have some in-person interaction. So that's why I think a logical outpouring of this is some kind of a hybrid where 2 to 3 to 4 days in the office and then maybe 1 or 2 days out of the office. It gives people the ability to maybe live a little bit farther out because let's face it, people have already been buying houses farther out. I've been seeing, and I talk about this every month, so I'll link up my market updates. I have a monthly Seattle update and then a King County and Snohomish County update that I do every month. And I talk about the market, and what we've seen is that the city of Seattle's housing prices, they've gone up, but just under 7% year over year. And we're looking, and if we're talking about April's numbers, April 2021's numbers, but King County is up over 16%. Snohomish County is up a crazy amount. Snohomish County is up 27.3% year over year. And Snohomish County would be considered a suburb of Seattle, or most of Snohomish County is a suburb of Seattle. And then there are lots of King County that's also a suburb of Seattle, which that's why you're seeing those higher prices, but the city itself is up only a fraction of what the surrounding area is going up. And if we go farther south of King County, we have Pierce County, and Pierce County is up 25% year over year. So you've got Snohomish and Pierce County up in over 25% in each place, right? You have King County that Seattle's in as a whole is up a considerable amount. But a lot of King County, if we're looking at King County stats, is weighted down by Seattle itself, which is hovering right around 7% year over year. But still, 16% with Seattle at 7% means the rest of the county is considerably increasing in value. So we're seeing people moving out of the city itself, and I think employees are going to want to keep that if they can, and they're going to fight for that if they can. I mean, even the other day I was talking to some people and they were saying, you know, I don't want to go back to the office. I want to keep working from home. And I think everybody is starting to feel that way. There are benefits to being in the office. I like to be in the office. I like to get things done. I like to have a separation of my home and my work. And my own house doesn't give me the best opportunity to have that and work from home. I don't have a home office. Some of you watching this do have a home office and you love it. Others don't and you want one, which would make you think about making some kind of a different purchase maybe and moving somewhere else. As we wrap up this article and think about these ideas presented, I think both parties have some relevant thoughts. I think the doomsday scenario of downtown is a little bit foolish. I mean, even the other day, I was talking to somebody who went to Pike Place for breakfast, the market, and they couldn't get a spot. It was so packed. Everywhere was packed. Lines were out the doors, just like it used to be. So that's, I think, an evidence that people are going to continue to go back downtown. They're missing those experiences, and they live there and enjoy those things for a reason. And I think we're going to continue to see more and more people returning back downtown. Thanks so much for watching this Seattle real estate news breakdown, where we talk about the idea of what's going to happen to downtown Seattle here in the future. And to be honest, we really don't have any kind of a clue what downtown's going to look like moving forward. But it's encouraging to see and hear about the commercial real estate demand continuing to increase. And actually, recently we're seeing signs that it's more intense than it was before the pandemic started, the demand. So I think it's encouraging to see the demand for commercial real estate's increasing. We've got employers that are starting to bet that we're going to be back in person. We're also seeing the light rail continuing to be built, which is supposed to help people get downtown. So my hope is that we're still going to see a vibrant downtown, something that looks a little different, but a vibrant downtown with people having a little bit more flexibility in their life. And if you want to hear my thoughts on the Seattle real estate market, I post a video every month, and I also talk about the surrounding markets on a monthly basis as well.